terrific that you are here. It's great. Rachel Johnson's here to discuss the headlines. We are still waiting on Nick Ferrari, though, who was caught short and nipped to the toilet between his show finishing and our show starting. He will be joining us shortly. He knows exactly what we're going to start with, though, Rachel, and it's the Tory Party conference. We've covered the Labour Party conference. There was a lot of headlines that came from that. This week, it's the turn of the Conservatives. Nearly two-thirds of Tory members want an election pact with reform. There seems to be a big shift, lots of empty seats in a lot of the halls at the Tory Party conference. Suggestions, potentially. Oh, Nick's joined us. Morning, Nick. Glad you could get there.
Morning, team.
Talking Tory Party conference. The question is, Rachel, is this the end of the Tory Party?
I think it's too early to write the obituary of the Tory Party, but it does look like a wake, there's no question. Apparently they've got Margaret Thatcher's, some of her outfits in vitrines in, like, glass cases.
Goodness me.
So imagine, I mean, if the Tory Party, you know, conference of Margaret Thatcher's era had got, like, the wig costumes or something from the 19th century. It's all a bit weird and spooky.
A bit macabre.
Halloween.
It is the 100th anniversary of her birth, isn't it? 2025. She must have been born in 1920... No.
Right.
Could she be born in 1925?
Potentially.
Yes, I think she was.
OK.
And anyway, so Thatcher is dominating the conference, and I think that's not a great look. What they need to do is to, I think, rally behind Kemi, who's actually got quite a good song to sing. But the problem is, no one's listening. No one's there. Not even Nick's there.
But
Nick's usually there.
It's an interesting...
Why isn't he there?
It's an interesting question. We'll get to Nick in just a moment. What about your brother? No previous Prime Ministers have turned up. Forget Nick not being there. Surely it'd be much more important, as important as we know Nick is, for the previous Prime Ministers to go along.
Well, I don't know if that's right, because...
But it's supporting the current leader, supporting the party, the history of the party. None of them could be bothered to go.
I saw Jacob Rees-Mogg last night, and I said, why aren't you in Manchester? And I can't remember what he said. He said, I do television. I can't remember what he said. But, like, nobody has gone. And I think it's pretty rough for Kemi. And it's going to be interesting to see whether she does get a standing ovation tomorrow for her big set piece. I'm not quite sure why she did a speech already, a big speech already, where she talked about immigration, she talked about community relations in the wake of Manchester synagogue attack, and she talked about controlling the borders and controlling the budget. So she had a good sort of set-piece speech then. What is she going to say tomorrow?
It's been described, Nick, as a ghost town, a battalion of unemployed chairs at the Tory Party conference, unheard of.
It is unheard of. Is the party dead? No, I don't think so, but it's probably on life support. I've just spent about 10 minutes speaking with Kemi Badenoch. Look, she accepts the challenge. I would say that there are a particular set of circumstances that make it very difficult for the Conservative Party at the moment. Not just the fact that they took such a thumping last year and they're still licking their proverbial wounds. And there we see, I think, one of the conference halls. I mean, when the Shadow Chancellor speaks and only the room is half full or half empty, whichever way you want to look at it, that's not a good look. But the other, there we are, there's the particular speech to which I was referring.
Amazing.
The other challenge, and Rachel will be aware of that, is how Reform has stolen so much of the auction and so many of their policies. They are a long, long way off. I mean, and the problem, and I put this directly to her, the problem that Kemi Badenoch has to confront is when she took over 12 months ago next month, i.e. November of last year, the party had 26% share in the polls. Now it's 16%. The party had 131,000 members. Now it's 123,000 members. And they've lost more than 100 councillors. By any metric, they are failing. To Rachel's point, actually, I think she is quite an adept politician. I think she has got a story to tell. But by God, she's going to have to sell it tomorrow.
There's one other factor, which is money. It's not just the non-attendance of the Tory unfaithful. It's the fact that the money is flooding behind Reform. And last night I heard that Reform is about to get a £5 million donation from one single donor, which could be the largest donor. I can't name the donor.
No, of course.
But the largest donation in UK recent modern political history.
I mean, a huge amount of money, but to people that wouldn't necessarily understand it, why on earth would that change the landscape for people in terms of voting for Reform? Is it just purely because they'll have the power to market their message better?
Well, it just gives them a lot bigger war chest. It gives them a sense that, you know, they are the government in waiting. If you've got kind of heavy hitters and big investors deciding that they want to bet on a winner, that winner is Nigel Farage, he automatically becomes more nailed on to be the next Prime Minister. It doesn't really matter that he can't form a government with 5 MPs, but come the next general election, if the polls turn out to be correct, he will have a landslide. He'll have 100 more seats than Labour.
Nick?
I tell you what will be interesting, and all of us can give a quick comment on this. Rachel will know. The three-party conferences to date have been dominated by Nigel Farage, obviously his own, Reform UK.
Yeah.
Sir Ed Davey seemed mildly obsessed with his speech for the Lib Dems. Sir Keir Starmer was utterly obsessed, and as was his Health Secretary, his Chancellor, the whole front bench have been obsessed. What will be interesting tomorrow is whether Mrs Badenoch does or chooses not to name Nigel Farage. Now, I think I would probably say no, be Reform light. I don't know what the rest of you think. Rachel?
I know that my brother, who has been mentioned as former Prime Minister, I don't think he's ever... I think he's mentioned Nigel Farage once. Yeah, best ignored, I think, is the Tory policy of the moment. I mean, Keir Starmer was talked about Nigel Farage incessantly, just giving him, as Nick was saying, more and more and more oxygen. He's the only game in town.
And one of the other interesting things as well, Nick, and I don't know what this tells you about the state of the Tory merchandising team or the organisation of this conference and their message. But if it wasn't damning enough that there weren't people in the halls, some of the merchandising has unfortunately spelt Britain wrong on the chocolate bars that you get in your goodie bags.
Britain loses.
I have to say, the hand you see holding that is my colleague, our political editor, Natasha Clark. So congratulations to
wonderful manicure.
LBC's Paulette there.
Red, white and blue.
She got that story. And as I said to Kemi Badenoch, if you can't spell the country, how do you think you can run it? She just put it down as a little bit of fun, and she said the chocolate's very tasty, but it is pretty embarrassing for a party that seeks to run Britain. They can't spell it.
That's exactly what it is, isn't it? It doesn't fill you with confidence, Rachel?
Well, when you're writing Britain, it often goes Britian like that, but then autocorrect, they haven't even heard of that, have they? But I mean, as long as it was Cadbury's, I think they're safe.
But you wonder how many pairs of eyes it's been through before it got, it got given the go-ahead. A bit like we were talking about the medals for the Great North Run that weren't
exactly the
Newcastle.
same. Yeah,
these things can happen, but at the moment, optics are everything for Kemi Badenoch and for the Tory party, and it's just not a good look, is it?
It's not great, but I'm sure they enjoyed the chocolate. I'm amazed they had the money to give out these goodie bags. They should be spending the money on getting good councillors on a good campaign, getting their manifesto right, doing the right research, commissioning the polling, not on free chocolate.
No. Maybe they didn't have to give out that much. Maybe that's the answer. Time for our next story. We've spoken before about the UK's mobile phone snatching epidemic, but last night the Metropolitan Police launched the biggest crackdown on phone theft, arresting 46 people in an overnight raid who are suspected of smuggling up to 40,000 stolen phones from the UK to China. This is an amazing accomplishment, Nick.
It's fantastic, and let's be honest, we're very swift to knock the police, so let's give credit where credit's due. Operation Echo Steep, as it was called, a phenomenal operation. Great work, people arrested, facing charges. Unfortunately, of course, I don't think people are going to be reunited with their phones, but one aspect that we explored on this, when you consider, and you'll all be far more tech-savvy than I am, when you consider we have hackers who can get into, like, Ministry of Defence websites and others and can hold companies to ransom. Is there not a way that if my phone is stolen, I ring my EE or Vodafone or whoever it might be, I give my number, and they just somehow wipe the database? Why can't that be? Because if you manage to do that, there would be no point nicking the things.
Yeah, well, the force have said that stolen devices are being sold in China for up to £4,000 each, given that they are internet-enabled and more attractive for those trying to bypass censorship. So there is a reason why they're doing it.
Yeah, this is a really, really interesting story, I think, on lots of levels. One, is Nick's right, it's a great police operation. But apparently they could track these stolen devices to the warehouse because a woman was doing Find My iPhone. And we've all done that when we've left something behind. Where's my iPad? Where's my iPhone? So she said, look, it's here. It's gone through Heathrow and it's in this warehouse. And usually they just say, well, we can't do anything, GDPR.
We haven't got manpower,
Yeah, I can't do it. But look at all those coppers who went in. Half of these phones were manufactured in China. So this could be a Coles to Newcastle story, but it isn't, because they're being sold for 4 times as much as they charged here. And the reason they're being sold is they bypass, as you know, the whole, social credit, the whole censorship regime of China. So these are kind of bootleg phones that these Chinese people desperately need to live the lives that we live here in the West.
Without the control from the government. What did you make of this, Martin?
So, look, this has been something I've been looking at for years. We've been warning about the difficulties. And a bit like all the scams that have my face on them, this is organised crime. And people don't realise that when, you know, as happened to me once on my phone and someone on a motorbike wearing a blacked-out helmet grabbed it. I mean, incredible precision, because he came past so quickly to grab it out of my hand at speed. But this is a chain link with lots of people involved to organised crime. To answer Nick's question, I mean, there are things you can do. Everybody who's got a smartphone, if you're Apple, it's the Smart Things app. If you're Android, it's Find My Device. You should have them. Then you can locate it, but also you can switch off payments. It doesn't stop your phone being sold on, but it reduces the risk. Because let's be really plain, 2 risks for your phone being nicked. 1, you lose it, you have to claim on your insurance and you get it back. And 2, they can access your information. Some other quick things, make sure your biometrics are set up, your face or fingerprint ID, both on your phone and your banking apps. That's very important. Not just on one, make sure it's on both. Next one, everybody do this now. Type into your phone *#06#.
Rachel's making a note.
That's *#06#. You'll get it's like what looks like a series of barcodes come up. Those are your IMEI numbers. Screen grab those, email them to yourself. That's the ID you'll need if your phone's nicked, so that you can recognise your phone. *#06#.
Yeah.
Next, really important this one, and you'll understand why. Turn off your preview notifications. So you know when you pay for something and they send you the text code, that comes through. That's fine when your phone is unlocked and you're on it. But if you have preview notifications, it will show that code on the lock screen. If you turn off preview notifications, it tells you you've got a message but doesn't include the code. So if someone nicks your phone and then they can't see that code, so turn off preview notifications. And the final one I'd say is go onto your phone, look at the security settings of your particular phone and go and have a play and see what security settings there are. None of this will stop your phone being nicked, but it reduces the risk of you being defrauded if your phone is nicked.
It protects you post that. Have you made a note of all those things, Nick?
Well, Martin, I've got an African prince asking me to send him £10,000. He's stuck at Frankfurt Airport. Shall I just send the money? Is that what I meant to do?
Click on the link.
Nick, as it's you, yes.
You can afford it.
So Find My Phone is on iPhone. Smart Things, is it Smart Things?
Smart Things.
Smart Things on the Android.
Did I transfer them when I said
but that's on the Android. But there are things, more to your point, there are things you can do to protect yourself. You can't stop the phone being stolen, necessarily, unless you're more secure with it.
Just as a note, I was told by a police officer, so I've got my phone here, forgive me, so we hold our phones like that. Anything you can... if they're coming for you, they're going to get you, and we don't want you to be hurt, but that can be a bit more of a deterrent. Right, the top finger over... Come over. Move on camera. Right, let's just try this. Try and grab my phone. Right? Try and grab my phone.
Oh, your finger's on top of it.
So if you can make your call, I mean, you better have your headphones in.
Yeah.
Have your headphones in. And have it in your inside pocket.
Yeah.
But like that, if you can try and remember, it's a minor risk
What about keeping your phone in your back pocket?
Back pocket's not good because they can grab it out. Yeah. Inside pocket.
Inside.
Yeah.
Anyway, we need police to do more of that. That's not my side, but that was I was told.
I need you to do all that technological stuff on my phone later. Will you do that for me?
Preview notifications,
Thank you.
I think is really, really
Thank you for visiting this morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.